All right, folks, check this out. So after Donald Trump had his insane late night posting spree in the middle of the night last night, posting over 150 times in an hour, he decided to wake up and have a cabinet meeting with all of the different members of his regime. And I think it's safe to say that this is easily one of Donald Trump's worst public appearances as president. It's almost like a consistent snowball effect with Donald Trump factoring in his mental decline. Every new appearance is worse than the last, and I think that certainly applies here. He was caught lying, he was falling asleep on camera, as you can see right now, he was snapping at reporters and more. So look, I'm going to show you some clips from this disastrous meeting. Before I do any of that, make sure to subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about this story. Without further ado, I just want to start here with something that a lot of people noticed with Pete Hegseth, who of course has been in the news for his alleged war crimes. You can see that every member of the regime has a name tag in front of them, and coincidentally, Pete Hegseth had a spelling error on his. The Secretary of War, which should be Secretary of Defense label, has two S's. SS Pete Hegseth. Now, you know, some people are pointing out, oh, is that really a mistake? You know, SS Pete Hegseth? I don't know. But I thought that was interesting that, you know, him, the guy who has made the most outlandish claims when it comes to fighting a war against another country, has SS for, you know, his label. But I digress. Just wanted to show you that. Also, as I mentioned, Donald Trump falling asleep a lot during this meeting. It wasn't just once, it wasn't twice, it was many times. Here's just some photos of him that were captured of him really struggling to stay awake. I mean, does this guy look healthy? Does this guy look like he's awake and alert and paying attention to what's going on? No, he looks like he's falling asleep, and you'll notice the band-aids on his hand, which we will talk about in just a moment. Here's another image of him passed out, and another one. I mean, he looks like he hasn't slept in days, when in reality, he sleeps quite a bit, doesn't start his day until 12 o'clock, and he's struggling to stay awake in these meetings. Simple meetings that are happening in the middle of the day. Now I want to show you a clip of him dozing off while Marco Rubio is talking to him. Watch.
War started, it never would have happened if you'd been president. But this war is going on, and the president is trying to end it, not because, listen, we got a million things to focus on in the world as a country, but he's the only leader in the world that can help end it. And that's why, that's why even as we speak to you now, Steve Woodcock is in Moscow trying to find a way to end this war, to save lives of 9,000 people, Mr. President, as you know, are dying every week. More people.
Yeah, so, you know, Marco Rubio's talking to him. He has no idea what's going on. I mean, he's passed out in front of the entire country. How embarrassing for the United States that our allies have to watch this when we're talking about the Russia-Ukraine war, a very significant conflict, a war, an invasion taking place that have a lot of different interests from different countries, a very significant piece of foreign policy, and Donald Trump is passed out. He has no idea what's going on. He's just nodding along. He's like, yeah. You know, I mean, it's insane. Now I want to talk about the band-aids on his hand, which a lot of people noticed as well. Donald Trump, of course, his mental decline is very clear, but also his physical decline. You're seeing band-aids on the hand where he has makeup. So he has now added band-aids on top of it. Normally that big bruise is just covered by cakes and layers of makeup. Now it has band-aids on it, two of them at least. And there's more images. Here's a zoomed in image of that band-aid that we looked at. Two of them, two band-aids on Donald Trump's hand, which is just really interesting given the conversation we continue to have of Trump's very clear decline. And yesterday they released, quote unquote, released the results of Trump's MRI exam, which they did not do. It was a letter from Donald Trump's doctor that said that everything was okay and that the MRI was preventative, which doesn't exist, by the way. There's no such thing as a preventative MRI. It's not a thing. So they're just lying to the American people, hoping that we can't read or research. But anyway, then it got into the dear leader kind of stage of the meeting where Kristi Noem was saying that Donald Trump stopped hurricanes as president, that him just being in the office managed to stop hurricanes, I guess. I mean, it's like an SNL skit at this point. Take a look.
Fantastic, sir. You made it through hurricane season without a hurricane.
Yeah.
And so FEMA, you kept the hurricanes away. So we appreciate that. And FEMA is deploying resources and dollars 150% faster than ever before. So somebody does have something bad that happens to them, you are immediately there helping them and telling them they have the resources to get back up.
Now, of course, that's not true what Kristi Noem is saying about FEMA, because Donald Trump picks and chooses where to give FEMA assistance money depending on if they voted for him or not. We have extensive reporting on this by now. But even in this clip, he looks a little tired. But seriously, we're at the dear leader point of this meeting where Kristi Noem is, sir, you kept the hurricanes away. Oh, you did it. You were the guy that stopped the hurricanes. They would have happened if Joe Biden was in office, but with you in office, there's no hurricanes. It is insane, the cult that is running the country right now. He's living in a bubble. I mean, this is, it's so damaging for the country, and it's something that is pretty typical with dictators. They live in this bubble of yes men who say, you stopped the hurricanes, you saved everybody, this country is great because of you. I mean, we are in such a bad spot as a country. Then we got into the Q&A section where Donald Trump was asked if Tim Walz should resign as governor of Minnesota. Just watch this. And then he obviously talks about him and attacks him.
Resign over the fraud scandal in his state.
And who should?
Tim Walz, over the fraud scandal in his state.
Look, I think the man's a grossly incompetent man. I thought that from the day I watched J.D. destroy him in the debate. I was saying, who was more incompetent, that man or my man? I had a man and he had a man. They were both incompetent, and I had a man and a woman. I thought she was very incompetent too, but now she's leading the field, and I think she's leading the field in this.
Okay, so he starts talking about 2028, but did he just call J.D. Vance incompetent? He said, I think the man is grossly incompetent. I thought that from the day I watched J.D. destroy him in the debate, which didn't happen. I was saying, who's more incompetent, that man or my man? As in J.D. Vance? I think he just called his vice president incompetent in front of his entire team and also the press pool, but I digress. Then we move on to Pete Hegseth, where he was asked about, this ongoing story about his war crimes, and he just diverted blame. He's now blaming this Admiral Mitch Bradley in the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, and the military, and he's trying to divert blame from him onto this admiral. And of course, I think, maybe this admiral should lawyer up, because it's clear that the Trump admin is going to throw him under the bus, and you'll see this in this clip. Watch.
The first couple of strikes, as you would, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that, a lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do. And by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And
okay, so Pete Hegseth is now claiming that he saw the first strike, which, by the way, is already legally dubious. That's being looked at as well. But he didn't watch the second strike, where they took out the survivors, which is really, I think, the main thing that people are focusing on, along with, of course, the initial strike. So Pete Hegseth is essentially admitting to not doing his job in order to get out of criminal liability. He's saying, I was just too busy. We know he doesn't do anything all day. I was just too busy. I was going to my other meeting, so I didn't watch the second strike. The United States is making a major move in international waters, and I just wasn't there to watch it. Okay, number one, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. He was there. He said in a Fox News interview on September 3rd that he watched the strike live. He watched it. So his claim that he didn't watch it initially, it didn't happen, was wrong. Now he's claiming that he watched the first strike but not the second strike. But in Fox News, he was saying he watched the entire thing in September. So he's just getting caught in all of these different lies. But also he mentioned Admiral Bradley, saying that he's the one who made the call. Not me. I didn't do it. But he had the right to, but I didn't do it. He is throwing him under the bus, and I hope that Admiral Bradley is lawyering up. And then, of course, he later in the meeting said, we have the back of our commanders who are making difficult decisions. Clearly not when you're throwing them under the bus, when you're putting the legal liability on them. That doesn't seem like having their back. It seems like you're trying to protect yourself, which is not exactly surprising coming from a man like Pete Hegseth, especially when he's working with Donald Trump, who is, the king of trying to save himself, avoid accountability, and blame other people. But look, this was a disaster. I think everybody is in agreement on that, between the falling asleep, the insane answers. Not a good day for Donald Trump. So look, I will leave the video there. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this. Make sure to comment below. Let me know what you think. Subscribe subscribe, drop a like on the video as well. It goes an incredibly long way. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.